When we do this every night, we never really know who's watching, but I can confirm now perhaps more than ever, people in the East Valley are watching, specifically people involved with CVUSD and the city of Coachella. So there is a perception. We do a lot of investigating to bring you the kind of stories we do, and that takes time, and it's true. But it's so much easier when it happens right in front of us.
We have a racist reporter guy on TV.
That doesn't make me a racist. It makes me someone who is paying attention. Okay, so let's go to last night's Coachella City Council meeting.
I think it's just putting a criteria that's fair and open.
So, Mr. Arroyo, the council member is saying that we have an unfair and closed process.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, you said you wanted to see a fair and open process.
I said
so it's
that,
implying that we have an unfair and closed process. Okay, so then that means that our process is unfair and closed. So let's go over this, because I think words matter in terms of if people are asking for fair and open, that's implying that it's unfair and closed. I'm just saying that's the words that are being used.
That's not what's being questioned. And
yeah, sure it is.
No, it isn't. And let's just be honest. Every resident and every nonprofit has the right to express what they're feeling. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But
we're in agreement.
To say, hey, you know what, because people are saying, hey, we want to make sure that there's a fair and open process, you know, that's not also to then say and spin it and say, well, then what we have is a closed process.
Well, show us where the unfairness is when he says that we haven't rejected anybody.
What we've identified is other opportunities so that other folks can now identify or understand that there's an application for grants.
But who are they? And why haven't they been rejected?
So for some folks, is that what they were made aware of, or some of the nonprofits, is that they didn't know the grant existed. They're not saying that it's a closed session. They're saying that they were unaware of it. It's a completely valid point.
That was Mayor Steve Hernandez, and he was upset that we question the integrity of how the city awards grants in the form of public money to its nonprofits. In other words, was somebody getting special treatment?
What does that mean? So if I'm a member of the Arts Commission, I can't apply for the Arts Commission?
That's correct. If you have an independent role outside of your role as a commissioner, you are not prevented from applying for this grant.
So then if somebody's a member of a nonprofit and they're a board member, they can apply for this grant?
That's correct.
So it isn't a conflict? Huh.
That is correct.
No, so it's interesting because that's been out there in the news.
Yeah.
There's a conflict of interest, and I'm like, where? How? They don't even see the grant. Those grants come directly to the city council?
The city attorney said giving money to someone on the Arts Commission is not a conflict of interest. But is that really the point? The point is that in a 2-year period of time, the city gave the person on the Arts Commission 60 times more money than they designate for nonprofits. By the city's own admission, the limit is $1,000. They gave Yaya Ortiz $60,000. She's on the City Arts Commission. She is the wife of someone on the City Planning Commission. So if it's not a conflict of interest, what is it? Why would you give someone 60 times more money than everyone else is supposed to get? All right, let's go back to the meeting.
The email was received February 26th at 2:32 p.m. from Annie Ann Moss, and it reads, Dear Council, I would like to bring to your attention to the most important item that is blatantly missing from the community-based grant program presentation, item 7, and is evidenced in your practices. Staff and council are not verifying if nonprofits are in good standing. There are at least 2 nonprofits you have continuously and consistently funded that are out of compliance with the California Attorney General's Charities Division. In recent years, these nonprofits fail to file required tax forms, often deny receiving any government funding, and are still in delinquent status. Nonprofits in a delinquent status per state law may not operate or solicit funding. You are funding illegal operations with public money. Shame on you.
There is a good point in there that we also have to make sure is that our nonprofits are in good standing, meaning they still have their license. And that's also a fair.
Do you want to do that across the board and everything in Coachella? Because I'm okay with that if you want to do that for everything. So the nonprofits that are in here, the nonprofits that use the parks, the nonprofits that apply, everybody, that if you want to do You want to come and use a service or apply to service, you got to be in good standing. That's fine with me.
Great, thank you.
That exchange seemed to upset Steve, seemed to surprise him, but it shouldn't. He's the mayor, and he should know that before awarding any money to any nonprofit, because all money is public money, the city has a responsibility to check to see if nonprofits are in compliance. This morning at 10 a.m., we checked and found that Yaya Ortiz nonprofit is not in compliance with the state of California. That means it's not fulfilled its tax obligations that every nonprofit is required to do. She was out of compliance when she asked for the money. According to the Attorney General, if you're not in compliance, you can't operate or ask for money. Why would you give someone who is not in compliance 60 times more than anyone else? That's not a conflict of interest. That's a real legal issue. And now let us move to CVUSD. The clock is ticking on the future of the district, while teachers and parents wait for the final word on $54 million in cuts. The real drama is next Tuesday. That's when the special election will be held in Imperial County for the final board seats. Those numbers will be combined with the votes in Riverside County to determine the winners. It could change the composition of the board. If that happens, there is a feeling that Superintendent Francis Esparza could be out, and the new board will try to clean things up. Earlier in the week, we talked about the bidding process for construction projects in the district. There seemed to be some confusion about that process.
Why haven't we moved to digital?
For digital bidding, you mean? Because we've always done it like this. I mean, that's something we can look into.
That was Leticia Torres, interim director of facilities, who sent me a very nice note yesterday. She explained that projects were listed in the Desert Sun for all to see. She said people can register with the district online to receive notices. She said there are different facilities pages on the website, and if you know the right one, you're good to go. Part of her letter said CVUSD solicitation of bids is conducted electronically to ensure accessibility and broad dissemination, allowing for a more efficient and transparent process. I want to thank Leticia for sending that note, and I sincerely apologize for any confusion I may have caused. But now, Leticia and CVUSD, since we're working together and transparency is the key, could you please drop off the bids for every construction project for the past 4 years? Who bid on the projects? Who got them? How much may they have been over budget? Since we're on the same team now, no reason to submit a public records request. That's going to take forever. Send them on over today. I want to see if Desert Concepts was awarded 75, 80% of the jobs, and if they didn't get that job, how many were they a subcontractor on? Now, this is not about Desert Concepts. They have done absolutely nothing wrong. I'm just curious to see if they got that many projects, and if so, why? I'm so happy you sent that letter. Transparency is now the key. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work.